With the Eagles starting their year off with a big 38-35 victory over the Detroit Lions, I know that the first thing on every Philly sports fan's mind right now is how the hell is Tobias Harris going to do this year? So let's talk about it because I want to talk about it. Just looking back at the 4 years that Tobias has been here, or 3.5 or whatever it is, since February 2019, it seems like he's done a lot and also nothing at the same time, which is frustrating, because there is so clearly a version of Tobias that can really be like pretty much the perfect fourth guy for the Sixers. And that's shooting threes off the catch, attacking closeouts, playing really hard defense, and just kind of being a connective tissue piece. And there are stretches where he does it, most notably this year in the playoffs, the first 10 or so games before the end of the Heat series when things got kind of wonky. He was really doing it, and it was amazing what he was doing. It was like, oh my God, this is the perfect guy to complement Embiid, Harden, and Maxey. But, there have been reports this summer saying, well, he really wants the ball in his hands again. And I believe it, but it really just is not in the Sixers' best interest to let Tobias handle the ball a lot. This doesn't mean he can never get the ball on his own to try to get his own offense. I think that would be dumb. Especially throughout the regular season, there's going to be plenty of times where Embiid's out of the game or Embiid's not playing that night, or same with Harden, who I think will get a decent amount of load management this year, especially now that Maxey can kind of handle the ball more and run more of the offense. I think they'll trust him more. There's going to be plenty of times where Tobias is playing with the second unit, or Tobias is, he gets the ball with 5 seconds left on the clock, where he'll have to create his own shot, and the fact that he can do it is great. It separates him from just standard catch-and-shoot guys, that he can really get his own offense at the end of the clock. He's 6'9", he can handle the ball well for his size. Not enough to be a star, but he can create a little bit, he can post up. It's great, but we just want him to do it less. And he's in a perfect position to do it less now because the Sixers have real shot creation outside of him. Because his first few years of the Sixers, there was a stretch with where Jimmy and Embiid were running the offense, and he was kind of minimized. And then once Jimmy left and it was just Embiid, Simmons, Tobias, he had enough chances to show off that he can kind of handle that load. And to be honest, he just wasn't good at it, or at least good enough. But now the fact that the Sixers have real creation, Embiid's a lot better than he used to be. Maxey's obviously great. Harden's still one of the best playmakers and creators in the NBA. He's perfectly suited for this complementary role, but really it's up to him and partly up to Doc Rivers to really buy into doing that and utilizing him properly. Tobias has shot well over 1,000 threes in the past 5 years, since 2017-18. Now remember, this is the season, this is Simmons' first year with the Sixers, this is Fultz's rookie year, this is the year that they had Dario and Ersan Ilyasova and Covington and Bellinelli. Like, that's how long ago this was. This is a huge stretch of time. Well over 1,000 attempts. He shot 39% from three. He can get off threes quickly. He has a high release. He's 6'9", and he's been really money from the corners. He shot like 45% from the corners in that time. He's money. He can really shoot. He's really improved as a shooter. He just needs to do it more. And even if the percentage goes down a little bit, that's fine, as long as you're really forcing teams to come out and guard you. Because right now, maybe in the corners he has some gravity, but especially above the break, despite the fact that he can make them, he's not pulling defenders out enough because he's not willing enough to shoot them. And it completely changes the Sixers' offense when he does, because if you look, especially versus Toronto and even at the beginning of the series versus the Heat, the Sixers' offense looked really great when they had their guys. When they had everyone in the lineup, it looked amazing. The Raptors had a great defense, and for the most part, the Sixers completely tore it up. But there are too many times where he passes up an open three and takes a meandering, 12-footer fadeaway, which he can make, and again, that's great. At the end of the clock, if you get the ball, that's great. The Sixers really lacked that in general, especially before they got Tobias and Jimmy Butler and guys like that. They were really lacking that. But it just can't be a primary part of the scheme. If he can embrace this style, I really do think the Sixers are going to make a lot of noise this year, again, as long as they stay healthy. And this will do a lot for Tobias' career in general. Because, yeah, Tobias has made a ton of money already, but he has a chance to, A, extend his long-term earning potential by showing that he has a skill set that will age better than someone who takes a lot of 12-foot jumpers and does not much else, and also cement himself as more than just a guy that has a terrible contract. More than ever, NBA teams are prioritizing fit when they hand out long-term contracts to role players over overall talent, especially in the last few years. Guys like Duncan Robinson, Joe Harris, Mikal Bridges, all of these guys have gotten long-term big money extensions, despite the fact that none of them are really creators or really have the upside to be all-star caliber players, but they fit really well into what the teams do. Tobias will be 32 when his contract expires, and in my opinion, he'll still easily have enough legs, barring an injury, which, he's never had an injury, a major injury in the past. Hopefully he doesn't have one in the next 2 years. He'll still have more than a few years to contribute on an NBA court, and in my opinion, if he can prove that he can really fit as a role player who can really shoot, because again, shooting ages well. You can shoot forever, especially if you're a tall guy like Tobias is. Big wings that can shoot, they'll always get paid. Trevor Ariza was still getting contracts last year, despite being probably washed. He was like 36, and he was still getting time. Even 2 years before that, he was getting like $15-20 million almost. So if he does care, this is the way he should go, in my opinion, to try to get that long-term, upward of $15 or $20 million contract. If he cares. Maybe he doesn't. He's made a lot of money. I don't know the guy, but, it would seem most NBA players would like to get paid as long as they can. So in my opinion, this would be the way to go if I was Tobias. And also, again, I don't know the guy, but if he cares about his legacy at all, and he seems like a pretty thoughtful guy, and he's actually talked openly a little bit about, he gets criticized a lot for his contract. Really the first thing anyone brings up about Tobias Harris, let's face it, he's pretty unremarkable in general. He's never really been a household name. He's never even been an all-star, all-NBA, Rookie of the Year, Sixth Man of the Year. He's never had any real accolade. Really, when he gets brought up, the only thing people talk about is his contract, and he has a chance to change it. He obviously won't be worth his salary for the next 2 years. He's the highest paid player on the Sixers this year, despite being, the fourth best player, maybe third best player if you still think Maxey has to establish himself more. I personally don't think that. But he's getting more than Harden and Embiid, which is crazy. But it doesn't have to be the narrative. He has a real chance to shift the narrative this year. If, and it's a big if, he can play that kind of off-ball, less ball-dominant role, maybe more focus on defense. Everyone likes Tobias. Everyone in the locker room seems to really respect him. He's a leader in the locker room. He's been here now. This will be his 4th year with the Sixers, 4th full season with the Sixers. We want to like Tobias. We've kind of been through it with Tobias. Embiid, he's really the only guy that was on the team when the Kawhi shot went in, which was a huge turning point from the team. I know Korkmaz and Shake were there, but they weren't in the rotation at all, really. Tobias was on the court. Tobias was there. He was a big part of the team. If the Sixers win a title in the next few years, or at least make a really deep run, I really do, as a fan, want Tobias to be there. It would just feel good, because the Sixers have been through so much turmoil in the last 10 years, especially, just listing off the Simmons situation, Markelle situation, Zaire Smith almost died, Burnergate, hiring Morey, firing Brett Brown, all this stuff. It's crazy, and it's been so much turnover, which kind of sucks because they started out with this really likable young team that had kind of started growing together, and then immediately they kind of just tore everything down, and the only constant outside of Embiid really has been Tobias Harris, which is funny, but still, I really want him to be a part of this team when they go far. If they can go far, I really hope they can get past the second round. I've never seen it in my lifetime. I was 2 years old when they were in the 2001 finals. I really want to see it. And I actually do believe that Tobias Harris can be a big part of that team if and when they do that. So yeah, that's what I got on Tobias Harris. I just want to get this little video out, give my thoughts. I want to give these kind of bite-sized videos a try during this season. I want to get it started now so I can kind of get into a groove before the season starts. So let me know what you think. If you think they should just trade Tobias Harris, I've certainly been there in the past. I'm not even sure if they can, but if you do think that he's irredeemable, let me know. I don't care. I just want to chop it up, talk about the Sixers this year. So yeah, I appreciate you watching. Thank you.